Make the motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of October 25th. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 25th. Those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion we approve the non-public meeting minutes for October 25th. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the non-public meeting minutes of October 25th. I forgot to say whether there were any additions or deletions to the first minutes, so I'll ask about the non-public minutes.
The ones that are so detailed.
Yes.
Not for me.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make the motion we approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any additions, deletions?
C and D are the same thing, so you can delete D, just the second page of the timber warrant. I don't, you're looking at it. Wait to
Just
see
wait.
that action there.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public input. Don't have any.
There's one person, but haven't said anything.
What's that?
There's one person, but they haven't said anything.
Okay. Keene Housing Kids Collaborative, Executive Director Sally, you're on.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. I have been with the Keene Housing Kids Collaborative for nearly 2 years, and we serve over 650 children, but 150 of those children live in Swanzey. So we, although our name is still Keene Housing Kids Collaborative, we also have a partnership with the Southwestern Community Services. So the Swanzey properties that we take care of are the two Keene Housing ones, and then the one just across the street here for Southwestern Community Services. We serve children 0 to 17, but I've got a video that I thought might be just easy to hear our story. It's only 5 minutes or 6 minutes 38, if you would be willing to hear that. Great.
The mission of the Keene Housing Kids Collaborative is to build a solid foundation for the children living in low-income families so that they can progress towards a successful adulthood. It's not about ability or intelligence, it's about equity and opportunity, and we want to help these children that may not have that same opportunity. We want them to be able to develop into their full potential as they move towards adulthood and become engaged parts of our community.
We started thinking about doing something different for our kids pretty early on when I came to Keene, and so we started doing a little bit of research and found a model called the social genome model that the Urban Institute had studied for years to be one that we might be able to replicate here. So we thought a good way to make that happen was, rather than continue to have programming for our kids that we run, the Housing Authority runs, that we would instead help create an independent 501c3 nonprofit that would be solely focused on making those things happen for our kids.
There was a lot of work that was done up front. Ms. Chipman was the founding executive director, worked very closely with Josh Meehan from Keene Housing to educate and convince the community that this was something that could have a great impact to our community. But they've done an amazing job at it, because here we are and now being able to serve over 600 children. I feel that it's a very well supported and believed in organization that can really make a difference. And I love that I get to invest my energy and time and skills into something that makes a difference for kids.
So at that time, I had just come to New Hampshire as a new mom, as a single mom, and things were actually really scary. I didn't have any daycare resources. I didn't have any after-school resources. I didn't even know where to go for a doctor's office. And so I worked with Anna a lot. I found that to be really helpful, as I was really nervous. And it's not like other low-income programs that are exclusive to low-income families. We're integrated with other families that are paying top dollar for these resources, and we're treated as though we are as well. Your kids deserve these opportunities, and I know I grew up and I didn't have them with programs like this didn't exist.
I definitely learned patience and trust. I just had this really good session with a horse, and then we had to get retired. So moving to this barn and having to trust another horse like that and be patient and learn with the horse and kind of just let everything fall into place.
The founding partners that Kids collaborated with in 2015, the Keene Family YMCA, Moco Arts, Keene Parks and Recreation, and a therapeutic horse riding centre at that time was called Miracles in Motion. They saw it as a way to reach kids that they may not be able to reach normally. You've seen now we have over or close to 50 different community partners, and that's what I really love, is that we've just got such a rich variety of programming.
It's been great because they get to experience all different sorts of things. So it kind of makes them well-rounded, kind of gives them a better idea of what's out there, and which is really nice.
Sharing those 30 or 45 minutes, you will see your kids, I saw you doing that, you're amazing, you're getting better, you know, remember at the beginning, so that opens a door for communicating with your kids, for a healthy communication with your family.
I definitely think it's helped improve their self-esteem and their confidence in themselves.
I love swimming a lot, and whenever we go to the lake, I would feel like I'm the professional. I'm like the better swimmer in the lake.
They have a lot more personality now. They're outgoing a lot more. But to me, it's huge.
When we joined Kids Philosophy Forum, we were going full time to school, and I was working full time. So it was kind of hard to find that balance. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see that my kids were in the right way, learning amazing things. When we had the opportunity to work and study, you know, and grow as a marriage, as a family.
I feel like we're not only helping the kids and the Kids Lab, but we're also promoting all these other great organizations in our community. I'm excited for us to expand the number of kids that we're impacting.
This is an independent organization, and they rely upon local philanthropy and partnerships to survive and to grow. And so I think it's really important that folks recognize that that's how the collaborative is going to be successful, and that's how they're going to grow.
The big aha moment for me is always when I speak with the children, and you just see that glow in their faces when they talk about the experiences they're having. Also, let's not forget the parents. The joy that the parents get out of seeing their children thriving. I don't know of another agency right now that can do so much for children, and we have proof that everything that we're doing actually works.
We have a partnership with the Keene School District because we want to measure the impact we're having in terms of academic progress, to be able to show our supporters that there is real evidence to support our mission and the philosophy that we have in investing in these kids. So I feel really lucky to be a part of that.
I just am excited to see how well the organization's doing and how the lab is growing. I'm really excited to see what it looks like.
So the basic issue that we're addressing is research states that 65% of kids that
Okay, so
are
3
born
rounds are, there's a discovery round, which in my
low-income
opinion is less than
households,
2
they
million.
stay
So usually
there
like,
to adulthood. Actually not that one, we'll just skip that one and we'll do it. So what we're trying to do is give our kids the opportunity to use the skills that they learn in these programmings to help them in the classroom and then ultimately attain upward social mobility and reach middle class and above. So Josh mentioned that Brookings Institution has done a study that talks about these kids or people from birth to adulthood meeting certain benchmarks throughout life, so that those benchmarks are being ready to learn when they enter in kindergarten, being at reading for third grade level. They are graduating from high school with a C+ GPA, and they're not getting into trouble with the law, and they are not becoming a parent before they graduate high school. So they're the benchmarks that we're trying to reach. The study was done with thousands of families over 30 years, and it shows that if people meet those benchmarks, they have a much better chance of attaining that upward social mobility. So this next video will just show you again some research that's done about how low-income kids can be affected by not having the opportunities that more affluent households do.
Let's look at two children, one from a middle-income family, the other from one of the millions of low. As the two kids head off to kindergarten, look what happens. The middle-income child starts out with a 6-month lead. The low-income child is already falling behind because of a lack of access to early reading and preschool education. During their year in kindergarten, in the same school and classroom, the two children will learn at about the same rate, so we'll move them both forward 9 months. But look what happens in that first summer between kindergarten and first grade. Our middle-income child moves ahead about a month in reading because learning of one kind or another continues over the summer. The low-income child falls back about 2 months. So when school begins again, when they go back for first grade, the gap between them has already widened. During first grade, again, they move ahead at about the same rate, another 9 months. That next summer, the activities and lifestyle of the middle-income family keep that child moving forward, but the low-income child has fewer opportunities to reinforce good habits like reading, and that child falls farther behind. Then we come to second grade, and again, our two children learn at the same rate. But the summer after second grade sets our low-income child back again, and our middle-income child moves forward again, and the gap widens again. By just the third grade, the two children are already far apart. By the end of fifth grade, the gap between the children is 2.5 to 3 years. It will keep growing through school. So you see, without addressing what's happening during the summer, it is impossible to ever catch up. It's impossible to close the gap. No matter how much high-quality learning goes on from September to June, every year the gap widens.
So that's pretty stark statistics there that just show that that's what can happen with low-income kids, is that there's opportunity gaps created, and they're at risk for risky behavior. So we're focusing on the out-of-school time that they have available. 90% of a child's life is spent outside of school, which really sounds high, but when you're adding in weekends, the after-school hours on the weekdays, vacations, that's 90% of their time. So that's a lot of time that other children are receiving these opportunities and learning, while our lower income kids have that financial barrier and are not able to. So what we're ultimately doing is trying to break that cycle of poverty. So trying to move those kids into more of a successful adulthood. We partner with existing programming. So the Kids Collaborative is not providing the services. We're partnering with 50 different community partners. We like to have a diverse range because every kid learns differently. Every kid has something that they're interested in, whether it's music or dance or athletics or academic-based programming. So we want to provide that big diversity for our families to select from. We partner with the Swanzey Rec and send kids, help kids, although the cost for that is quite reasonable. Our families are operating on an average median income of less than $30,000 a year. So that's for a household with one or more children. So it's just, you would understand how difficult it would be for them to access the more expensive opportunities that are available. So we are a nonprofit, and we do lean on funding from individuals, from corporations, We do get some money from the city of Keene. We're fortunate enough to receive $10,000. And we put in a request to the Swanzey, the town of Swanzey, to have a comparable level of investment that the city of Keene does. So we're about 20% of our children are in Swanzey, so we were asking for the support of $2,000 a year from the town of Swanzey. So if you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer them.
Just have a question, technical, just detail. You indicated in the letter 90 children, but I think you said 150.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't update that, but we have added children into our program since I had actually submitted that letter last year. But we have now close to 150 children, because it's not just children in those properties. We also serve children or families that receive a housing choice voucher from Keene Housing, and they can live on the private market. So there's around 150 in the Swanzey town.
And in the first video, there was an indication that there's communication with SAU 29.
Yes.
Is there similar communication with SAU 93?
We are working to establish that. So what we do with Keene School District is we receive what we call de-identified data from them in relation to test scores and discipline, tardies and absences from school. So we're comparing cohorts of children. So we're comparing children that are on free and reduced lunch that are not in the Kids Lab or eligible for services through the Kids Lab. We compare them with children in the collab, and then we compare them to the rest of the student population. And it's a longitudinal study that we're running through Keene State College, and it will take us 7 to 10 years to establish that evidence that we are closing that academic achievement gap. But we are working with Monadnock Regional School District to see if we can set up a very similar study with the children in their school district.
Great.
Any questions?
I think we have closer to a quarter of the students, so I would make the motion that we grant your request, but for $2,500 as opposed to $2,000.
When we get to that.
When we get to that.
I can leave you, this is a handout that actually does connect. What we do is evidence-based because of the study that was done through Brookings Institution, and we are measuring our impact with the study through the school. So one of our things that we say is we're not just doing nice things for kids that can't afford it. We're doing something that does make a difference, and it is a real investment into the kids in your community. So I can leave this with you and share that around. But thank you for including me on the agenda. I appreciate that, and thank you for your support.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Here she is.
My turn.
Your turn.
Hello.
You had a phenomenal experience on Saturday.
Yes, with the first thing that we really wrapped up was, we got to figure out a bigger space. As Liz said, it keeps growing, like, people are walking already 10 minutes to the event. And that was when we had overflow at Cutler, in the overflow in front of the field house, and down at Wolfboro. And like, those spaces were pretty tight. And I'm like,
I think the parking worked out.
it did, definitely having
Much
designated
better.
parking and like signs worked out. I'm just worried it continues to grow. We were already tight with the new plan this year. Just gonna keep getting
You have more room there. I don't think Wolfboro was too full.
it was before you came. A lot of people left at 4. I have pictures sent to you.
Either way, the fact that they're parking that far away is a pretty good indication.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
It's always the big problem.
What's that?
Okay,
Do that. School. The Grand.
Yeah, we talked about the school, the Grange, even just something in the center of town where maybe we have the trunk or treat where they could park at the school, just because it's more condensed parking for the attendees and then have the trunk or treat review. I would bring it to the town hall. If there is like that, we can speak in 50 minutes. All conversations have to be here.
We to this to, you can, yeah. I'll make you try to fold it up on camera. Yeah, if you want a copy.
I'd like to look at it on this, like, setup versus.
So it starts a little bit on page 4, and mostly is page 5. And we also have the revolving fund, which is on page 7. So that's just kind of to show where some expenses are posted. We'll touch on some of the highlights, changes.
Well, for the general budget, really not much change. Some things got added. Obviously, we have the gas that was added in along with the vehicle maintenance line item. We're looking more towards to break out the electricity budget now that we really have a full year to look at all 3 different properties and kind of dissect what was being paid where for everything.
The software, I think, is a.
Via the software, which that is a new fee, but the rec desk program has made it easier for registrations. Our Schools Out program, the parents can come in and now digitally sign in and out of their kids. So it's not me losing a kid or having soggy paperwork or losing paperwork. It's all kept in one database. It also allows households to create a general household, and then from there they can register their kids, so they're not filling out a new form every single time they sign their child up for a program. Their child already preset in the system. There's a lot more to the program that I'm going to hopefully work through with Katrina this winter on like rentals for the Wickham Hall. The plan will be all of the rentals for Brown Memorial Field next year will also go through the programming, which makes it be a more direct pay. It's not me having to say, okay, can you get to the town hall and drop a check off? They can pay online right then and there the minute they book in any of the different facilities. And with my rec too, we can set it so that people can request to like book the hall, and then Katrina can do her whole steps and situations of going through and making sure whatever they're trying to do would work for our space before charging them and things like that, but still having it all be able to invoice and be done like through the website. So there's a little bit more of a fee with that, but that also eliminates hundreds of pieces of paperwork, of printing, of chasing checks, of trying to have parents show up at the town hall, having parents drop stuff off in the drop box, no information on it, and me and Kevin trying to figure out what it's for and things like that. And then bringing to the revolving fund, the plan is to keep pretty much everything that we've done this past year. We did add in a wage line for coaches and referees because I'm now getting a consistent amount of actually even my summer camp staff who are able to dual uses. So instead of, instead of 1099, not volunteers, but outside reps and having to have a check cut to them, people are being able to be paid like through, and they can submit everything through overtime, which that makes it easier on my end, just making sure that people who are doing the work are getting paid appropriately. Oh, yes, we did add a line for the schools out program as well for expenses in there, just so I can see the difference between what we're spending for schools out for revenue and expenses versus what summer camp is.
How's the rubbish removal work? Is that,
That's just the dumpster at Richardson Park.
okay, so it's a
It's
waste
closed.
management dumpster?
Yeah. No, the one in, is that the one in
Or
Jaffrey?
drains? It's gonna be,
It could be
Waste management. I call
Either
it the office in January, when I open it in May and when I close it in September. So it's only seasonal, that dumpster.
is DPW going around doing garbage runs at other places that they can't do? Richardson Park also?
I don't know if that.
We have to empty the trash cans daily at Richardson Park, especially with summer camp going. We can't leave any like food, especially in the building overnight. I was assuming that's why we had a dumpster, just because it's probably hard for Public Works to get down into
Yeah,
all of
I
that.
mean, well, if it's every day that you need the service,
Yeah.
so,
We fill it weekly
okay.
by the time they show up, between the public trash and the bathroom now trash and then
Yeah.
summer camp trash.
Okay.
Those kids eat a lot of food. We've learned the hard way if you lock it in the building at night, how much fun it does not smell in the morning. But everywhere else is picked up by Public Works.
Actually, the cell phones,
Yes.
it looks like you were basically at your request line as of September, if I'm reading this right.
We have to look at, if we have a couple extras maybe on the account. I was going over some of it with Ashlee yesterday, but, so I think we might have at least one extra phone on there. Potentially, so.
Probably because me and her hashed it out in January last year when I first came in and said, why is this so high? And she showed me it all on how everything is broken up. So I'm paying for the AEDs.
I'm just asking because as of September, you'd already
Max.
spent what you're asking for next year.
Oh. That's a very valid argument. I also potentially could have put that number in before the September numbers without really thinking it was going to continue to, maybe even then, yeah, continue to increase that much.
The same question goes with IT support. 'Cause at the end of September, you were basically at what you're requesting. Is it ongoing support after September?
It's just a one, she gets basically two bills, one for the rec desk and one for her share of Twin
So
Bridges.
we're
they're
done
not
with
getting
that
more
this year.
bills. Right, rec desk is another one.
Yeah.
And then the professional development? What does that entail?
So that's things like summer camp staff training, the lifeguard trainings, me attending the annual conference, and then any other like professional development I may do towards my job. Last year included the swim instructor courses for the staff to become swim instructor certified. It's a lot of pretty much just a training for camp and preparing staff to be qualified.
So it's worthwhile.
Yeah, CPR, first aid,
So most of it's spent by
yes.
September.
Oh yeah, all of it's done by September.
So as of September, you had spent more than you're asking for this year, this coming year.
I feel like that number doesn't match. Well, so even based on what I have, so I have every line item broken out into exactly how everything is spent. For what I'm planning on spending next year for the annual conference, for the lifeguard training, for summer cap training, for CPR first aid, and for my annual membership to the Park and Recs is only going to be, in my total, $3,508. Is that different than what's on here?
You got 25.
So it is a little different. I apologize, I did not go into BSNA and update my numbers as I put in my Excel sheet.
So that should be 35?
Yes. And that would be every single training between January and December of next year. And that's to say I budgeted for 5 lifeguard trainings. If I get all my lifeguards to come back, I may not have to do all 5. Same thing with CPR and first aid. That varies if we're hiring staff that are already coming with those certifications and things like that.
Do you open those types of training to the public for additional revenue?
I don't, because we don't offer the training. We outsource that to like the YMCA, or we've had staff go, we did the YMCA last year. What did we do it before?
Was it Wendy or was that?
It was Wendy one year, but we also went somewhere else, I thought. We may have only done it up at one.
Was it the county? Did
The county covered them. I feel like I had 2 staff that went. It might have just been the Y now that Wendy has left. But they also do give us a discount, and they also provided on-site waterfront training specifically for our location. So they came this summer and trained staff to do like underwater rescues at the beach, how you scan the ground if you were not having a head count appropriate and things like that. So they got that lakefront aspect of it, not just that like pool side lifeguard training as well. And keeping us trained and as prepared as we can. Because they go to the pool, and the pool's fine and dandy, but then they get to the lake, and it's a whole different viewing situation. Our glare is different, the sun moves, there's wind.
Sure.
Yeah, so we really are trying to get sure that everybody that's watching these kids in the water are as trained as possible. It would be mine that's going to drown anyway, so. He thinks he can swim.
He will then.
He will, he's very determined. He's either going to swim or he's going to learn to.
Are there any other programs you want to implement?
I would love to bring in a babysitter training course next year, and what that would be is I would become certified in teaching children how to become babysitter certified. It's kind of very similar to the Red Cross course. It would actually be through the Red Cross, that's where I found it, because we partner with them for all of our lifeguard training. That then could also bring additional revenue and really target those 12, 13, 14-year-olds that may be too young to go to work at Market Basket or something like that. And they have a younger sibling, and mom and dad wants them to be CPR trained and just the basics and stuff like that. I took the class as a very young child way back when, and I've seen it being used in other areas, but we don't have anybody currently in our area doing the class. So I think it'd be a great thing to hit. I thought it would be a great thing to be able to do with the CITs during the summer, have them have another implement for their summer camp trainings, and that too, that we could charge an additional revenue and say, we do a 4-hour class on a Saturday at Wickham Hall, or you could do it at summer camp on a Saturday, and in the summer, the weather gets nice. And those you charge, I think, anywhere between like $100 and $150 per person who attends. You can take up to 8 for one instructor. I think it'd be great. We don't do anything right now to really target those pre-teen, or even teens technically within just our organization.
Are there any other programs you're looking at?
I'm looking to expand our townwide yard sale so that we can also do it twice a year, once in May, once in August, bring in vendor space at Brown Memorial Field, where we would stake out like we do at Old Home Days. They're little 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 square. They would pay for potentially $25, and this would open our townwide yard sale up to residents who don't live, or non-residents who would be interested in participating, because they don't put their addresses outside of Swanzey on the map, but then they could come and rent a space, and then still have people, kind of like a flea market almost set up during this when people are already going to be out and about in the town. Was something new I was looking to do this coming year as well. We're really revamping swim lessons now that I have 2 instructors certified, and those are going to start as soon as June rolls around, not when summer camp starts this year. The school schedule is kind of pushed back a little different this year, so we're kind of starting camp potentially a little bit later than we normally would. So I'm going to try to target a public lesson for those little guys in the June timeframe before everybody kind of starts coming down to the beach, which is in a group that we had last year for swim lessons. And then, what was the other one? The dog parade, which that would another just be kind of more like a community event, kind of based around the Halloween block party. Michael has really cute dogs that get dressed up every year.
Kidless humans.
I followed the Peterborough Recs Department did a big dog walk, and they do it down their main street, and they parade them all around, and it's a big hit in their town. We had a ton of dogs here in costume this year. Obviously, it would definitely be something separate from the Halloween block party. I have 2 dogs that are great with other dogs, not great with a bunch of people, type of thing. So I think that would be something fun where maybe we parade them around Main Street or somewhere on a different day and have another little event for the animals. We don't do anything for the doggos. Bet you we could get some really fun llamas. We had a pony here this year at the Halloween
I
block
think it
party.
was a unicorn.
Oh, yes, it was a unicorn. I told Mom later that the unicorn took its horn off. She goes, it's because it has to be in disguise, Mom. Absolutely, yeah.
How about adult programming?
I would love,
Say it, senior.
yes, and I've chatted with the Grange on different things that we can offer there. We've talked about kind of trying to expand their coffee talks. We've talked about kind of bringing in potentially like a cribbage or like a card evening or day during their tea times. I would love to work towards something where we do a bingo. I think bingo would be a great ploy. There's a lot of areas right now that are doing it, but you're not gonna wanna see, personally, I wouldn't even wanna go sit at one of the bars that are doing the bingo nights and play bingo. I'd love to play bingo, but not in that environment. We could provide an environment that's separate than something like that. And then we're working towards that Brown Memorial reconstruction project, hopefully, and that I would love to see pickleball courts. I know that's a big ticket item right down the road for everybody. And really try to bring more of that in. I'm working with the YMCA on trying to get back the fitness programs throughout the winter as well. We did have a pretty good group of people that were coming for a strength and wellness class that we were doing here, but the instructor then had some issues and they're still working on just classes at the Y right now. And once they get back to be able to outsource them, I'd love to get them back in here. If not, I'd love to try to find somebody just in general in the community that can do something in here during like January, February, and March. And even at that point, we would be able to potentially offer a fee if it's not a partnership through somebody who's offering a membership.
How about paint nights or movie nights? I know you've tried movie nights before.
Well, we did the Valentine's Day dance last year, which we plan on doing again this year. Families loved that. I haven't tried movie nights just because there's a copyright fee that goes with it. We've talked with the Mount Caesar Union Library about using their subscription program that they have to be able to get it, because sometimes to rent some of these newer movies, it's $300-400 to be able to show it and promote that you're doing it, because you can't copyright infringement and all of that. But then obviously they've currently closed and shut down, so they've kind of put a little bit of backseat. But we talked about kind of partnering. If we could get a screen that could be used by both of us, we could have some nights at the beach, we could have some nights at the, I want to call it a church, thank you, the church or the library, and then we could do some here during the winter as well. But it would just be kind of working through that subscription fee and that copyright and things like that. Paint nights I love. I'm actually really good friends with Corinne, who's been doing a lot of them in the area. It's more difficult on my end at this moment in my life, though, to plan evening activities on a kind of consistent basis, just because both of my kids decided we're going to play sports every night of the week. So yeah, actually, I literally dropped my daughter off, and hopefully my husband remembers to pick her up. But yeah, so as I feel like my kids are going to get older, things are going to be able to become a little easier. They're still in that wonky, like 5 to 7 age where I don't trust leaving my daughter for 20 minutes or a half hour after a practice or fend for herself. Just sometimes.
Are you getting to the point where some assistant help would be beneficial?
I really think it would be. I'm looking towards this year to bring in like a specific camp director as one of the wage lines for things that would kind of play me at camp, so I can be present and still be there, but have an opportunity to be able to get to email, to attend meetings that may not pertain to summer camp, and really continue to keep projects going. Because right now, where I'm at with that in particular, June hits, you don't see me till September. It's about near impossible unless you're coming out to the camp to see me, to kind of coordinate with me, just because of how things have been set up currently with the camp. I've really got a great group of staff this year, and most of them plan on coming back. And we're now coming into where I've had staff for almost 3 or 4 summers that are planning on returning. I really think having somebody as that direct person to play me at camp, and the staff will understand who that one person is, would be really beneficial for that. But with that too, looking at somebody that's able to help in the evenings for basketball and soccer and kickball, or even just be that additional part-time person that I can guarantee to be here for the schools out programs and things like that. I always make myself available for the schools out programs, but it's hard when you get some teenagers that they're going to show up for that one day and they didn't show up. So if I could have somebody,
Is that in here?
it is laid out within the programs themselves on how I like to go with them down the line, just in the wages and the budget and stuff like that. That is all in here, breaking up these additional things. It'd be looking for like job descriptions and stuff like that to make sure the HR end is all tied in. But yeah, with that, the biggest issue I'm noticing right now is I've got good part-time staff that are floating around, but they're so spotty on when I need them that I'd had 2 days in October I need staff, I have 1 day in November that we're gonna need staff. And it's hard for some of those younger ones, or even the ones that are about to get out of college or going into college. They're like, I want something more consistent. So it's hard for them to, they'll commit to the day and then the day shows up.
The camp director position, that's,
Yes.
that wage is in here.
Yes. Yep. And I have. I'm gonna do stuff like that. This is my wages.
And where are you in the number of hours you're putting in per week?
I'm working 40 hours right now. Not the plan going forward, I was gonna stick with. My plan is to now have every Thursday, will be at the town hall to make myself available in there right now. We discussed in office, I had talked with Michael. Looking at a budget perspective to come up with the money that what the rent was going to cost made me feel bad, just because I felt like we could spend it better. And I have worked on with my husband creating a space in the basement that I can utilize as an office. We're looking at what would be potentially less than $2,000 to get a desk into that space and like a storage filing system and stuff like that. And then I would still be able to have that 1 day where I would go into the town hall, make myself available for comments, questions, town hall employees to be able to talk with me and things like that. And then be able to, instead of spend that money on rent, be able to put money towards like Keene housing and things like that, and really working on trying to increase the program. Because there's so much that's going to change in 3 to 4 years, that if we could save that rent money and then figure out what potentially could happen between Cutler, Grange, all the other projects we have going on, that may not potentially cost us continuous money down the road, makes me feel just a little better. I feel bad because it was my biggest confliction. Like, I don't want to cost people this money if I can make it work. And took a little cleaning, but we made it work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
good, thank you.
It is. We have so many awesome things coming up. It's gonna be great.
You're doing a heck of a job there, young lady.
We're expanding the basketball program this year. That's the goal. I'm really trying to work towards expanding things, and I've been working with a lot of the middle school coaches, and like especially soccer and stuff like that, to really help build this become a feeder program for Monadnock. If anyone's attended some of the school functions lately, there's not a lot of kids on a lot of the teams lately.
Sure is.
Like, it was competitive when I was there. Like, we got cut from JV, and now they're lucky if they have JV teams that go away. So I would love to help build feeder programs, and then too, maybe work on extending our programs out to lacrosse, or maybe potentially a field hockey type thing that we could do outside of just like the field house in the winter.
Sure.
So we've got potential.
Good for you.
Awesome. Have a great evening.
Good night, Ashlee. You're up, Stephon.
Is he running this meeting or are you?
No, he was just looking at me, so I figured I'd save you a turn.
What the heck?
Definitely, yeah, there you go.
Good evening, all. I am here to discuss air source heat pumps for town hall. We are planning on putting 1 unit in every exterior office that we have in the building, plus 1 in the ambient space in the center of the building. They will be connected to 4 outdoor units. The cost should be $48,000, and that includes for all the units, the labor, the contingency, as well as sealing up existing holes. And it should take about 2 weeks time, or sorry, 4 to 5 8-hour days.
How many heads?
8.
Would we get one down into the fire department if needed?
Planning on it, it's doable. In my expertise, the one problem you have with that is you would have to put a pump on it for condensation, because it's low grade.
Well, hopefully the bond will pass and it's not an issue. What's involved with putting a pump on it if we needed to go that route? It's just a condensing pump, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just
it's
a
like
little.
EV,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just kind of loud and annoying. It's doable.
What would the cost be roughly to add that ninth head? Would we need another unit outside, or would be able to work off of what you have?
You would most likely need another unit outside, because you can oversize the load on these units by like 30%, depending on what condenser it is, but I don't fully recommend that in like a commercial capacity. And I also don't necessarily recommend putting a unit in our room, because it's basement and
It's gonna end up being office space.
I would add another door to them.
Well, I mean, it's probably gonna have a stairwell,
Oh,
maybe an elevator. So, right? I mean,
then yeah.
we can't get wider, we can only go up or down, as the case may be, so.
Then I would support from the unit down there. And this would be with the northeast climate out of Brookline.
And this would be heating and cooling?
Correct.
Would you be able to check to see if we could get that ninth head on the existing units?
It will take a little bit of time though, because playing with the load is,
Playing with what?
the
load?
The heat count load, yeah.
Yep.
So, but I might be able to do it myself too, but I'll last that.
Thank you. When do you anticipate the install?
He says approximately 2 weeks.
This year?
By year's end.
Do we have the electrical service to handle it?
I was told we did.
Just did some work there.
Yeah, a lot of the panel was upgraded, when the generator went in, so I think that was helpful.
Which I would have to ask him again about the electrical, if you want to add another unit, because it'd be a pretty large unit that goes in the basement.
Do we need to do the whole space or just the conference room?
Well, I think you'd want the capability going forward. But, yeah, short term, maybe just a conference room.
Bless you.
12 to 15,000 BTUs. Also depends whether or not, like, I don't know what heating and cooling sources are currently down there.
It's just the window air conditioner. And then as far as heat, it's the boiler.
Like 12 to 15,000 BTUs.
Probably use the heat aspect more than the AC down there, right? Usually anything I've been down there is pretty cool.
Depends what the summer brings.
Where would the funding come from?
The town hall improvements expenditure trust fund,
There's adequate.
25,000 spare.
What's that?
25,000 spare.
Make everybody a little happier, I suspect.
I think so, yeah, especially with some of our heating zones. I think the heating, especially in these months, will be helpful. You know, the town clerk has to crank up their heat to get Kevin warmed up on the other side because they're on the same zone, but one side's getting hit by the sun and the other side's not. So I think it's gonna pay for itself between not having to lug around the portable ACs and installing those and storing them, and then being able to a little bit better control, so we're not overheating for some people or having other people get be cold and wearing their gloves while they're at their heat work. So I think it'll be much appreciated.
So each unit, what's that?
And better air quality.
And each unit's individually controlled.
Each has.
Long time overdue.
Just had to get the right expert on board.
Good.
We don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Oh, you don't want to approve this part?
Why not just do it all at once?
Well, if that impacts his schedule, if he was trying to start in a couple of weeks, I don't know. Would you be able to get back the info for next week, or?
Is it something, could that last head be added after the fact if the bond doesn't pass?
Yes. Actually, yes, and pardon me. It'll be a one-to-one, which would work efficiently and would be good because if any of the other condensers goes down, it's independent and it's still running. So yeah, it can be added later.
Okay. I'll make the motion then for up to 48,000. Is that
Without the additional head.
without the additional head?
Work.
And come back, what that additional would be. Yeah, thank you. Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Additional comments? Hearing
I
none?
think I've said enough. Good job, Stephon.
Guys, have any more questions? You know where I sit during the day.
Thank you, Stephon.
We need to talk to somebody about getting that phone put at your desk. I don't know who we need to talk to, but we need to have that conversation.
Actually, we did talk to,
Alan?
yeah, Alan. We did talk to him. He said he would get back to us. But it should be doable.
Just make your life a lot
Need
easier.
another junction box there.
Just have Michael field your calls. You know, if you get a call.
We just leave a voicemail. He gets back to it once a week or so.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Stephon.
Thank you.
I said aye on your motion. I don't know what the rest of you did.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's two ayes.
We don't know what the chairman said.
What's that?
We know we had 2 yeses on the motion. We're not sure about the third.
Okay.
Good night.
Storm damage online.
With a flourish.
Okay, Michael?
I think Bill's reading. So I think we obviously wanted to get back to you folks in terms of your requests, so I prepared a draft letter for the board to consider to see if it met their expectations. Basically just summarizing more or less what we had discussed, that we feel we need to go with the legal advice, that we're not able to contribute towards that damage.
Have you been back to the attorney since we had our meeting?
Have I been back?
As the board approached, you were gonna go and ask for comment from the attorney on how we presented.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't like it any more than you do.
So what did he say, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that still does not feel it's an expense that the town can pay towards a class 6 or private road.
He's still on the private road side of it. That's the argument, more than anything else.
Correct.
Other than the improvement that we made on the whole system itself. And then we will go. Okay. So where do we go from here?
I don't know, I'm not.
Yeah. We're kind of waiting for a little more information. But I guess we ask that maybe we have a chance to come back and present some more information in front of the board when we get it.
It's wide open door.
Yeah, well, I thought, I didn't know if this was the end or if we could, we could address it again, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think if new information came to light, absolutely. We just didn't want to, leave you without a response.
Yeah. So I guess we'd probably like to see whatever you develop as far as the draft. I suppose you'll send it along to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Is your mailing address Brown Lane, or is it, because I saw in our,
It's too brown.
that is your address, okay, I just didn't know if you were receiving mail there, so I just.
Yeah, we are finally. Took it a while to get transferred over.
You might want to let I'll talk to you separately, but you might want to let the tax collector know, because I think we still show the Keene address.
That's fine.
Okay, you'll get it there too.
Yeah, that's fine. If we can sort out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll wait to see the draft. But it's too bad we couldn't come to some kind of resolution.
I think we agree with that.
Yeah. So this is I guess, not an off-the-record comment, but it's a comment, so.
You are on the record.
I know, I
That's
just
right behind
I just wanted to few phrases. So, we did make the request for a disaster declaration. Is that done?
Yes, that's correct.
Not an emergency, but a full disaster. And we got an acknowledgement of that and acceptance of that declaration?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And that's all FEMA?
Correct.
Okay.
We did that, Swanzey?
Well, we requested to the state requested.
Yeah, the governor,
Government.
remember I read the election, this letter, the governor made the request, I guess, to the president, just to declare the disaster area, and they had to do it in 30 days of the event. And I thought I heard it was accepted as a disaster, and therefore some funds would be available. Okay.
That's our understanding, yeah, it's a long process.
Oh, I know.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that come to you or not, or just directly from FEMA to us if there is any funds?
I believe FEMA would only be for the government expenses, at least based on the type of declaration. I think there are some where it can go to private individuals, but I believe it just comes based on town infrastructure damage.
Okay. Well, we'll keep trying. Thank you for your time.
Sure. Appreciate you coming in.
Hey, no problem.
Okay.
It's just a smaller version, but so.
Yeah. Take 2 minutes and review it.
Absolutely. Look at that, Michael.
So first on page 1 is executive. The main substantive change worth noting is that next spring Edna is planning to retire. As you know, she's split right now between human services and human resources. So the human resources part is posted to executive budget, the human services is to the general assistance budget. She's graciously agreed to continue doing the general assistance portion of her job part-time. And I would advocate that budgeted based on including the human resources coordinator position as a full-time position. So we'd be basically maintaining the full-time position and adding a part-time welfare coordinator, human service coordinator. I think the most significant benefit to having the HR coordinator full-time would be helping keep us better up to date on policies. As you know, the personnel policy was a long and painful process, and I think a lot of the reason that's the case is we don't have someone focused on a lot of these policies. It's her, I, Teresa, different positions as time allows. So I think having someone with a little more dedicated time to periodically, one policy or two a month get updated, I think would be a big benefit. Human health and safety for our employees and training, I think, is another area where we could kind of improve a little bit by having a little more time to dedicate. So those are a few of the benefits, I think, of having that
So
position.
would the coordinator, or I'm sorry, would Edna's role continue to be the front-facing role, the one that the public would engage?
Public assistance, general
Right.
assistance, yes.
Whereas with HR, they would not be engaging with the public.
Correct.
So would that person go into the space where Mike Jasmine used to be?
No, I think the human resources person would be in Edna's space, and Edna would have a combination of some time from home, and then obviously when she's meeting with clients she'd have a few dedicated days. So it might be in the conference room, might be in the space that you were mentioning where Mike used to sit.
We lose confidentiality there.
In that, yeah, she would have to go in the conference room. She had client meetings. So she'd try to, we'd maybe book her at 10 to 2 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's kind of when Edna's going to be in the conference room.
With the pace of business in terms of help to the citizens that need it, would that be adequate?
I think so.
There's probably not a whole lot of conference, so much of interviews. There's probably more just filling out the forms, right?
Filling out the forms and then going over. She does a great job counseling folks and working on budgeting and a lot of things to help, get them more self-reliant and off the assistance. So there's some of that.
And how many hours do you think she'd be?
Average of 20 hours a week.
I just would want to make sure that we're maintaining confidentiality and that we're available. So far, I have not been in that situation, but would want to make it as easy as possible, comfortable, I guess is a better word.
Great. Yeah, we'd always have to either have the backup, someone would be backup, so Katrina's the backup right now, so I was just on vacation, so she was doing the backup. Maybe the new position would be the primary backup, so there'd always be someone to at least intake people, give them the paperwork. Usually someone comes in off the street, if they haven't been in the system before, they have to go and collect documents, so it's not usually I'm here, I walk in and I'm being served for an hour. There's usually, not always, but usually they have to go back, they need bank statements and a lot of documentation, so usually they come in, they get the form, we would say, here's Edna's card, please contact her to set up an appointment.
Great. And this would start, I was thinking it was end of year, but it's.
No, it's probably,
After
it's not a
town
firm
meeting.
date, but March, April, May, something like that.
So you have time. What do you anticipate for the scale on the coordinators, the human resources?
I budgeted at like 60,000 right now, so I don't know the labor grade off the top of my head, but.
Given our experience with other openings, you feel like that's adequate?
It's a place to start.
So somebody we could subcontract out like IT.
Human resource, that'd be nice. I can see if anyone's doing that. Yeah, I know.
Because it's, if you're keeping up with state regs and whatnot, federal law.
Be nice if there was some kind of a regional approach, get multiple towns involved, and that way you're not having 10 people in the county trying to stay up.
Recruit,
Yeah,
reinventing the wheel.
yeah, I can see if anyone's doing that.
Maybe somebody that lives in Tampa. Maybe wants to retire from the big city. Right.
Next one is financial assistance, so that, the financial administration, so that's tax and finance office. I don't think that was.
What page, man?
Payroll. Starts in halfway down page 1. Yeah, that's, that budget's down $400, so. Main changes are shifting between Kevin's wages and different lines. So again, basically level.
So what are the add to bring the multiples of 5s and 10s?
No, just has just to round it up, basically, to round the numbers to even numbers. So if it came out, she did the math and it came out to $23.98, she put in $2, so up to $2,400 or something like that.
Gotcha.
Rounding.
There's an add to, or deduct to bring the multiple of 25. Page 2.
Yes, there is.
Do we need to keep the financial software at that number?
I think so. One thing we need to look at for next year is Novatime, the company we picked for timekeeping, got bought out by Kronos, which is a big time clock company. If you ever worked somewhere with a time clock, you probably had one. I did when I worked in college. So we were able to stay on the kind of legacy software for a little while, but we're going to have to, we had a 5-year contract with them. So, but by the end of the agreement, we need to transfer over. And the sooner we do it, the better the deal is. So I kind of figured that money could help cover that transition next year. And the other aspect could be if we want to add a module of BSNA as we get a little more settled in. We've talked about having either cash receipts, which would be some invoicing for like Whitcomb Hall, some miscellaneous details, could use it for a few different things, Carpenter Home, and purchase orders. We wanted to have a purchase order process for larger purchases. So yeah, I'd like to keep that level, even though we're not going to spend it all this year.
So is just out of curiosity, is the Novatime, which is shown in gray, is that 742, 5%? I'm just asking.
So we have the one above that, Novatime timekeeping, is 14,830.
Right.
And then we have the estimated increase of 5% is the 742. And
So
then up
so
at the top, I have the Novatime.
Now I understand.
Kronos transition.
So they're on the gray and the actual numbers on the white.
Correct. Those are the footnotes, they call them. So those all should add up to the 30 at the bottom. That's why nothing's spent in each of the subcategories.
Yeah.
Seeing nothing else on finance, move on. The next one is assessing. So a little bit of an increase projected here for contracted assessing. As you know, it's going to be a reval year. So Dave's definitely going to earn his keep next year. Just a little more info on that maybe next week. I don't know if all the info is public yet. I will info on that soon. assessing. Next budget is general government buildings on the top of page 4.
Which one is that?
General government buildings.
Oh,
And between savings and fuel and increases elsewhere, it looks like it broke even.
Page 4.
So Michael, with the assessor, I just got caught up, I'm getting mixed up with the gray and the white.
Sorry.
I apologize. You think we'll end up on budget
For this year?
for this year?
Yeah, we might have let it go or two, but I think we should be within the 17.5 or close to it. It's usually a front-loaded expense. Most of the expenses for the pickups in the spring, and a little bit with the MS1, so we might have a couple bills for the MS1 work, maybe a little bit near the end of the year for equalization, but I think we should come in close to budget.
It's not good to hold it in, Michael.
No?
Carpenter Homes, its own revolving fund.
Yeah, it's its own, I technically call it a special revenue fund, but yes, its own section.
Just in the janitorial stuff, you feel comfortable basically holding even? It looks like you could potentially overspend it. Everything stays.
I think we'll be close. I mean, we could bump it to 500 if that would be, feel more comfortable, but I think it should be pretty close.
Yeah. Just looks to me like we'll be a few thousand under. I mean, a few thousand over on line. I'm just looking at line 4194.
Check the, what we normally do monthly. Like,
Coming into vacation months.
I think we'll make it.
This looks like another 10% difference. So I'll go with you on that.
Compare notes at the end. Not a huge dollar amount, but just pointing out under general government expenses, next one, GOE. Tax map revisions, I'm showing a little bit of an increase. That's because with our new tax maps and GIS, as you guys know, if you've been playing around in there are building sketches on there, and to maintain that, there is a cost associated with each building that gets put on. So to have those mapped, it brings us to just expect a little bit of an increase. So I don't know if it's necessarily the right number, but I rounded up 50,000.
So in that category, what drove the overage?
So why we're over budget, if you look at the third from the bottom.
54,000.
Yeah, so that was an encumbered, or that was a warrant article, and we have to post it to some line item.
I didn't see the 5.
And when you look at the bottom line spending, you have to remember that that's in there, so. And then postage is probably one you're gonna ask me, do we have enough in there? We may or may not, but it's the way we account for postage. When we buy it, it gets hit to this line, and then when people use the meter, it gets subtracted out. So we might be a little bit over, but it's not as bad as it looks probably at the moment, hopefully.
convince me on the other one, it seems like a little bit more than this one, so I'm with you, as long as it's coming out of your petty cash. And then it's fine.
Good transition. Next item, unless you have any other.
No, tax rate.
So I put on the tax rate, and my DRA kept saying, nope, not ready, thinking, oh, if I put it on, maybe it'll happen, and this time worked, so we got the call this afternoon. So we did have a couple revenues that increased when they set the rate, so meals and rooms, or one revenue at least higher. Meals and rooms was a little bit higher, so that got increased, let's say 62,000, yeah, a little over 62,000, so that was nice. Block grant decreased 1,000, not a big deal. The 2023 assessed values were about 3% higher, so that helped bring down the rate a little bit more, or less than it otherwise would have. Fortunately, we're looking at an overall rate increase more than we normally like, but between the additional revenue and the higher assessed value, could have been worse, or would have been worse otherwise. So without any further adjustment, we'll be looking at a town rate of $7.55 and a total rate of $26.87. 27.48 with all bits of no swans.
Next year will show a crash.
The rate's gonna come down with the rate, that's for sure.
They're well better.
The nice thing is dollars aren't worth as much, so really,
Really, this,
we're down 7%.
put that on your campaign signs.
It's only money.
So I forgot, I missed what you said. What do you recommend for retaining?
That we go with the total rate of $26.87.
And how do we get there again?
It's just based on what the budget that it was approved, the revenues as adjusted by DRA, and then the amount of fund balance that we had budgeted, which was $400,000.
So what's our tax rate? To go
Down
from 753 to what?
683 to 755 for the town portion.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was this? I gotta look at my own colors. I gotta do a slide deck, print out my own colors. Gee.
It was black and white.
It was exactly black and white, and I was just wasn't looking at it that way.
Well, it's meant we kind of did throw us off with one of 2022 sometime.
It gets confusing. And Julius was like, were discussing the other day, this year and next year gets confusing this time of year. 22 or 23 or 24? Yeah. So it'd be good to have this rate at least, and we'll get the warrants run and get those out.
Want that motion?
Do before Christmas.
Is this consensus?
I think we've done a motion historically.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we set the overall tax rate at 2687.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yet again, Swanzey holds the line.
And you added to your empire too.
That's right. We keep adding to it.
Keep moving south.
Yep.
Make the motion that we go into non-public under A.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to go under A.
Colby, Walker, Kerry,
I just gotta try again, see if I can get this thing on.